Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaya Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Savai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaya Jashodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Antakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Go, Premanandi, all glory, assemble devotees, all glory, assemble devotees, all glory, assemble devotees, all glories, see Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Krishna Mastaya, bodily, Shimate Bhakti, Jani, Shesha Shunyavadi, Pasyatyadi, Shatarane. So this morning, we're reading the 7th canto, 9th chapter, text 19. Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers. Now this morning there is a test to see who has spiritual vision. The verse is actually right here. Can you see it? Or do you still need to make more advancement in Krishna consciousness? It's right there. Just every once in a while we have these tests, just how advanced everyone is. Okay, so it's a little humbling. It's a little humbling, but we have a ways to go. Yes. But it is there. So it's a little humbling. It's a humility test that we have a ways to go, but actually it's right there. Someone very advanced. He's halfway advanced to Los Angeles to pick up Dvijamani. That's where he is. The long arm of the scribe. So here we go, text 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Balasya. Please.
It really makes sense that we do one line and then we chant the line. You know, do word by word to each end of the line, then you chant the line. Word by word in the line.
Then go back and do the whole. Okay. Balasya Neha Sharanam Pitarau Nṛsiṁha. Balasya Ne. That right? Balasya Neha Sharanam Pitarau Nṛsiṁha. Nartasya Chagadam Udhanvati Majjato Nau. Nartasya Chagadam Udhanvati Majjato Nau. Taptasya Tat Pratividir Ya Ihanjashestas. Taptasya tat prativindir ya ihanjashestas. Tavad Vibho Tanubratam Tvad Upekshitanam. Tavad Vibho Tanabritam Tvad Upashitikshitanam. Balasya Neha Sharanam Pitarau Nṛsiṁha. Nartasya Chagadam Udhanvati Majjato Nau. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanjashestas. Tavad vibho tanabritam tvadupekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nṛsiṁha. Nartasya chagadam udhanvati majjato nau. Taptasya tad pratividirya ihanjaseshtas. Tavad vibho tanabritam tvadupekshitanam. Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nṛsiṁha. Nartasya chagadam udhanvati majjato nau. Taptasya tat pratividirya ihanjashestas. Tavad vibho tanabritam tvadupekshitanam. Anyone like to chant? Balasya neha sharanam pitarau nṛsiṁha. Nartasya chagadam udhanvati majjato nau. Taptasya tad pratividirya ihanjashestas. Tavad vibhotanibritam tadupekshitanam. Anyone else? Balasya neha sharanam pitarau Nṛsiṁha. Nartasya jagatamudanvati majinau nau. Taptasya tad parivadirya ijanja sheshtas. Tavad vibhotanibritam tvadupekshitanam. Anyone else? Balasya neha sharanam pitarau Nṛsiṁha. Nartasya jagatamudanvati majjatau nau. Taptasya tadpativadirya hanja sheshtash. Tavad vibhotanibritam tvadupekshitanam. Balasya, of a little child. Na, not. Iha, in this world. Sharanam, shelter, protection. Pitarau, the father and mother. Nṛsiṁha, O my Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. Na, neither, or neither, which is it? It's either, neither, neither. Okay. Artasya, of a person suffering from some disease. Cha, also. Agadam, medicine. Udanvati, in the water of the ocean. Majjataha, of a person who is drowning. Now, the boat. Taptasya, of a person suffering from a condition of material misery. You know, a t-shirt like that, just put taptasya on it. I'm a person suffering. You could sell millions of those. Okay. Tat pratividihi, the counteraction invented for stopping the suffering of material existence. Ya, that which, iha, in this material world. Anjasa, very easily. Ishtaha, accepted as a remedy. Tavat, similarly. Vibho, O my Lord, O Supreme. Tanubritam, of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. Tvat upekshitanam, who are neglected by you and not accepted by you. Translation: O Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Purport. Through parental care, through remedies for different kinds of disease, and through means of protection on the water, in the air, and on land, there is always an endeavor for relief from various kinds of suffering in the material world. But none of them are guaranteed measures for protection. They may be beneficial temporarily, but they afford no permanent benefit. Despite the presence of a father and mother, a child cannot be protected from accidental death, disease, and various other miseries. No one can help, including the parents. Ultimately, the shelter is the Lord, and one who takes shelter of the Lord is protected. This is guaranteed, as the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 31st verse, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Therefore, unless one is protected by the mercy of the Lord, no remedial measure can act effectively. One should consequently depend fully on the causeless mercy of the Lord. Although as a matter of routine duty, one must, of course, accept other remedial measures, no one can protect one who is neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this material world, everyone is trying to counteract the onslaught of material nature, but everyone is ultimately fully controlled by material nature. Therefore, even though so-called philosophers and scientists try to surmount the onslaught of material nature, they have not been able to do so. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 13, chapter 9th verse, that the real sufferings of the material world are four: Janma, Mrityu, Jaya, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease. In the history of the world, no one has been successful in conquering these miseries imposed by material nature. Prakate kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Nature, prakriti, is so strong that no one can overcome her stringent laws. So-called scientists, philosophers, religionists, and politicians should therefore conclude that they cannot offer facilities to the people in general. They should make vigorous propaganda to awaken the populace and raise them to the platform of Krishna consciousness. Our humble attempt to propagate the Krishna conscious movement all over the world is the only remedy that can bring about a peaceful and happy life. We can never be happy without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Tvad upekshiktanam. If we keep displeasing our Supreme Father, we shall never be happy within the material world in either the upper or lower planetary systems. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Nena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Banchikapatarubhashya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Bhavane Bhyo Vaishnavi Bhyo Namo Namaha. So by your good wishes, prayers, I'll try to say a few things about this often quoted verse by Prahlada Maharaj. One glorifies the devotees by memorizing and repeating and let alone following their good instructions. Just think about, sometimes they sell these books in the bookstore, famous quotations. You have any books like that? Famous quotations, right? They have books. Famous people, infamous people, have said some quite catchy and wise things, and they write those down and say, oh, so-and-so, and then they put the name after it. So-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, right? So this is a quote by Prahlada Maharaj. All of these verses are some very wise things he said, and we should heed them. He's a Mahajan. That means whatever he says is perfect and complete. So here he's continuing his description of the Lord's mercy and our and every conditioned soul's unfortunate situation in this material world. So, and this seems to be counterintuitive, or against everything we experience, that there's nothing you can do to help yourself in this material world. Is that what he's saying? There's nothing you can actually do. There's nothing you can do to guarantee relief from suffering in the material world. That's the point. Material world is such that the jiva, the struggling soul, what is that? Prakriti stani karshati. It's right there in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Mamayavam so jiva bhuta sanatana. So we're in this material world, as a third chapter of the Gita also. We're in this material world struggling with the six senses, which include the mind. Also that prakriti kriyamanani. That karshati means you're struggling. As soon as you get dropped in, you start to struggle. Like Sankarshan over here, he likes swimming, right? Do you notice that? He kind of shows up at different times, right in the middle of Mangalartik with his bathing suit on or something. He loves to swim. He loves to swim. He's like a fish, you know. Maybe he was a fish in his last life. But he loves to swim. But if you took him and just tossed him off the end of Crystal Pier, he's going to have to struggle a little bit to get around, or maybe a lot, depending on the waves. He's going to struggle. Just throw him, he's struggle. So we've been dropped. We actually dropped ourselves. We jumped in. We didn't get dropped. We actually jumped into the material ocean. Woohoo! And then we realized, oh my God, what did I do? So karshati means we're struggling. The material world's a struggle. So everyone's struggling. Everyone's trying to relieve from distress. But Prahlada Maharaj is saying here that you can't. It's not going to work. Nothing's going to work. You're never going to find a permanent solution to all the suffering in this material world. And if you don't believe it, listen. There's 3 examples. There's 3 examples here. Balasya means children. And children suffer. You ever hear a baby cry? Who has never heard a baby cry? Everyone's heard baby cry. They suffer. Little children suffer. And parents, of course, they want to protect their children from suffering. Be very, very careful. Don't run out on the street. Don't do this. Don't do. When little kids are very little, it's like every other moment is like, where are they? Like that. And or they get sick, bring them to the hospital. Hopefully the doctor. This is a children's hospital, which is famous right over there on Route 8. You know, there's children's hospitals, and they have the different things for St. Jude's, like that, for children with cancer, and you know, they have these different institutions just for children who are suffering from disease and so on. And parents are praying like anything and paying a lot of money and asking Ronald McDonald for help. The Ronald McDonald Fund. They said a big sign there on Children's Hospital. There's the big Ronald McDonald charity trying to counteract their bad karma. give a little money of the billions and billions they have, a little money to help kids who probably got cancer because they ate at McDonald's. But that's another thing. But still, you can't be absolutely sure. Some children pass away. Very, very sad and very unfortunate. It's a great tragedy. But children do. Some accidents happen and things happen. Just children pass away. Parents, despite all their endeavors, can't guarantee the children will grow up. Just like I was reading something about, one of the things about modern life, you could say there's the good and the bad. One of the good is the rate of infant mortality, and has gone way, 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 way down. So when you think about the Roman Empire, 50% of all children passed away by the time they were 10. So if you live past 10 years old, you're on the, like that. Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva must be looking out for you or something. But think of that, 50% of all children passed away by the time they were 10 years old. So a great tragedy for parents. So, but there's no guarantee. You do everything you possibly get the best medical insurance, you get the best this, best that, and still a child can pass away. Or medicine, and we're very, very proud of all our medicine and medical systems in the world today. And they have done some amazing things. But it's interesting, they keep building more and more hospitals. What does that mean? More and more people are sick. It must mean that, right? If you build more and more, just like if they build more and more prisons, what does it mean? You got more and more people who have to be incarcerated. This country has more incarcerated people than any other country in the world. It's like 1 in 4 people are in jail, or 1 in 10 people are in jail, or something like that. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Day jobs, about 10 cents an hour.
Okay. So, but the point is that this medicine, even doctors will tell you, I'm not God, I can't, so many stories are there. You go to the hospital and you think everything's going to be just fine, and pass away. Pass away. Even in the hospital you can get sick. It's called HAI. healthcare something infection. Healthcare effect, yes, that's what I was looking for. I always saw that name, but now they call it HAI. In other words, while you're going to get cured from something, you get something else and it kills you. Like meningitis and pneumonia are on the top of the list for that HAI. People go, but Prabhu Maharaj's father, that happened to him. He went to the hospital for something else and he got pneumonia and passed away. You hear that many, many times. People go to the hospital and think this happens, that happens. So, I mean, even that is amazing. You go to a hospital for something and then you get something else. So, diseases.
One of our members, they went in for a simple, tonsillectomy, kind of thing. And so they assured him, he'll be able to go home this evening, So the lady came back and said, sorry, we cut an artery by mistake, and he passed away.
Yeah. So we have great faith, but the point is there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. And then about the boats, there's no guarantee. Even the Prabhupada gives the example of the Titanic, and it's quite telling because in an English newspaper, they actually called it the boat that God could not sink, the ship that God couldn't even sink. And guess what happened on its maiden voyage? It sunk. And there's a story that's been told. I do not know if it's true, but it's a great story. Maharaj tells it from time to time. That, on the Titanic, I forget the name, what they called them, but very, very poor people, were coming from England and Ireland at that time. And they practically for nothing, they stayed down. What do they call that? Steerage. Steerage. So you had all those people. And of course, when the Titanic started sinking, they just locked off all the chambers, so they're all drowning and so on. But one of them, the story goes that he smeared the oil all over his body, the grease and oil from the engine room, and he actually somehow got out, and he lived. Only, he was an Irishman, he went back to Ireland, only to one evening he was so drunk he passed out and fell over and drowned in a puddle of water. So he was destined to drown, so it wasn't on the Titanic, it was in a puddle on the way home from the pub. So, no guarantees. That's the point that's being made here. One of the main points is no guarantees. The material world's quite a miserable place. Now, but Prabhupada says that doesn't mean we shouldn't, what does the Prabhupada say here? Okay, wait a second. Here isn't purport. I got the wrong purport. I can't find it, but about still that doesn't mean we shouldn't, here it is. One must, of course, accept other remedial measures. In other words, that doesn't mean, that we don't go to the doctors, we don't try to take care of ourselves, warm clothes or this or that, because it's ultimately up to Krishna. That's not our philosophy. You do the best you can, but no one should be so foolish to think that we, by our endeavors, individually and collectively, will get rid of all the miseries of material existence. It's not going to happen. We're not going to cure all the diseases. In fact, we seem to be creating more like that. So, and the world is becoming a more dangerous place. Previously people would just to walk places. And if you wanted to go fast, you got on a bullock cart. That was fast. Whoa, you get on a bullock cart and have a horse or something, right? That was really fast. But now, you get on the street. As soon as you step into that car and turn it on, get on the street, your life is, right? Just like I was telling the devotees maybe Wednesday, Thursday, I was on the way to the temple. I think it was Thursday. And they got stopped. The whole highway, this is 3 o'clock in the morning, goes Route 8. And it actually had been Mahabharat, when he came to cook that morning, Thursday morning, it was still problems. There was a very horrible accident of some sort. So we were sitting there like 20 minutes. All of us were chanting japa. I made sure everyone was chanting their japa, all the people behind me. Got out and passed out beads to everyone. It's so dangerous. 3 o'clock in the morning. But there's just everything all over the road, and took all these tow trucks, and there must have been 5 or 6 highway patrol and San Diego police cars with their lights gone, and ambulances and everything like that. So it's just, they've created so many dangers, and let alone reducing them. So that's a symptom of this day and age, that things are becoming more and more and more dangerous. So what to do? And what does it mean here about being neglected by the Lord? I thought God loves everyone. That's a question, right? Tvat upekshitanam, who are neglected by you and not accepted by you. I thought God loves everyone and accepts everyone. So what this is referring to is those who, really it's the other way around, those who neglect and do not accept Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, or the Lord, and want to go off on their own. Prabhupada gives the example, just like a child is insisting, I want to touch the fire, I want to touch the fire, I want to touch the fire. Okay, go ahead. See what happens. He touches, ow! So we don't want to listen to the Lord.
Let me touch the fire.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that's what that means, is those who want to go, don't want to listen to the Lord, don't want to take a shelter, don't want to, and it's an imagination, because everyone's always in the shelter of the Lord. Just like everyone's following the laws of the state, either in jail or outside of jail. So the person in jail thinking, I don't care a thing for the law. I'll break it whenever I want. The government can't do anything to me. And of course, then the camera pans back and he's holding 2 bars like this, right? You don't see the bars when he starts talking. Then the camera comes back and he's 2 bars, and and there's a guy behind him, whatever, his cellmate looks like hell warmed over or something like that. So, I don't care for the law. I don't care. Yeah, you do care, because now you're in jail. You're doing time. So the laws of the Lord are there for everyone. It's a question of which laws do you want to be underneath? The higher spiritual laws or the laws of this material world? So one should always realize that we're completely at the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And having that revelation makes one very, very humble. Like that. So that's the difference between material consciousness and spiritual consciousness, is that pride and the humility. Very, very proud. Tony Bennett was famous for singing, Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. Is that him? Frank Sinatra? And Pavamana, who's a bit of a musician and so on. I did it my way, but he also said, I just know that one line, I did it my way. But actually, he talks about not even touching his knee to the ground or bowing to God in that song. So he said, Pavamana is telling me the lyrics are actually, even anti-God. That's pretty far out. If Frank Sinatra would write a song like that. Who? He's dead.
Oh, really?
Yep, sorry about that. He did it God's way. God did it His way. So, that I'll do it my way. Well, you let out enough rope, enough just to hang ourselves. So the point is, we have to do it Krishna's way. And it's always Krishna's way, just like the example of the free citizen or the person in prison. You're always doing it according to the law of the land. It's up to you, how you want to interact with the government as a law-abiding citizen or as a criminal, but it's all under the direction of the government. So everything in this material world is completely under Krishna's direction. And just like in the Bhagavad Gita, there's 5 factors of action. And the last one is the Supersoul, the Supreme Lord in the heart. All those other things are there, your endeavor, the place of action, the body, this, all these things. But ultimately it's up to Krishna how it's all going to turn out. So the devotee is conscious of that. And therefore he's very humble and he's very, very peaceful. He's not thinking, and in every single endeavor, whatever it may be, he's completely dependent upon Krishna. Do the best he can, but he's dependent on Krishna. Completely dependent on Krishna. So, like Prabhupada's mom tied a little something around his ankle, right? A little thing around the ankle, just like, knowing that it's all to Krishna and the Devatas, may they protect my child, may they protect my child, like that. So in all those different samskaras for kids, whether it's anaprasana or namkarana, it's all the prayers are about, may Krishna, will you protect my child? Protect my child from being hurt, protect him as he grows up, protect him from ever being thirsty, ever being hungry. That's all there in the anaprasana. So you're depending on Krishna. It's not like, I'm going to take care of this kid, I'll have enough money, and we never has to worry about being hungry or thirsty. No, you're praying, Krishna, please help my child. I'm completely dependent upon you. So, because it says in the verse, although temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. That's the point. So do the best we can, but leave everything to Krishna and know that Krishna is ultimately in his hands. And the last thing is that Krishna protects the devotee. Prabhupada says in here, it's guaranteed. Prabhupada used that term. But here's the point. The devotee is not the body. It's not that, oh, you become a Hare Krishna. It's guaranteed. Have a good trip. May God protect you on your trip. It's the devotee. That's the devotee. Krishna's not. They're not saying, "Oh, if you become a devotee, you'll never have any problems." Have you ever experienced by becoming a devotee, maybe you got more problems? So, but actually, that's not true. Devotional life in the mode of goodness, actually, the problems reduce. They actually do. They reduce. But the struggle to get out of the material world, that you can consider a type of problem or anxiety, if you like. It's an added anxiety. But that's the one that has to be taken. If we're going to be in anxiety, we might as well be in anxiety about getting out of the material world, because at least it bears some fruit, eternal fruit. So that's the point here, is that guaranteed means Krishna will always take care of you, but you're not your body, you're the spirit soul. And Krishna may move you from here to there, this life, that life. He will. No, he may. He does. He moves his devotees around. And you're just completely dependent on Krishna. Krishna, you know what's best, and I accept whatever it may be. So, look at Prahlada Maharaj. Born in a family and his father's trying to kill him. Anyone here have your father try to kill you? Multiple times?
My brother tried to kill me.
Your brother?
Well, I thought so. He was 12.
Yeah. Okay, well, save the day. Yeah, brothers are known for that. Ask me how I know. I had 3, all bigger than me. Even my younger brother was bigger than me. Beat me up until I was in 9th grade. I whooped him. Yeah, I got out of there. Impetus to join the Hare Krishna movement. But, siblings. But how is that possible? Because he was a Mahabhagavata pure devotee from the womb. He takes his birth, and he's in a family where his father's trying to kill him. Did Krishna look the other way or something? What's going on here? But no, Krishna, Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva is watching though. Yeah, the Pandavas, it's like a tragedy. The Srimad Bhagavatam, it's one suffering devotee after the next. Queen Kunti and the Pandavas and this one and that. So what's going on here? But actually it's all glorious, the devotee and Krishna, and showing that even in this material world, which is, we can't escape even as devotees, the sufferings of this material world, still we're happy and blissfully engaged in the Lord's devotional service, and feeling great compassion for the fallen conditioned soul. So it's a different standard of life. So it's a few words there. It's 8:34 now. Any comments on this very important instruction by Prahlada Maharaj?
I have to relate my experience when I was about 5. Hare Krishna. And I got sick. I used to get sick periodically, chicken pox, measles, this and that, I forget which one it was. And I remember when I was feeling better, somewhat better, I was running around the room and climbing on the bed and everything, I wasn't just lying and doing it. And I got sick, I got really sick. I had to be taken to the hospital. And I was contagious, so my parents, I had my older brother, they couldn't visit me. But luckily I was on the ground floor. They would come to the window and I would see them and just wave. That was very important emotionally. But I was in there, it seemed like a month, maybe it was a week, you know, because I was so... And it was a kind... They said later, after I was, you know, cured, that it was a kind of a meningitis thing that was coming up, you know, and if they didn't get it before it got to the brain, I'd be dead. So I remember this, I remember distinctly, in order to you know, fight this thing, they had to inject it into the spinal column, you know? And here I'm this little kid squirming around, so there was this nurse who sat on me, literally. I could barely breathe, you know, and they were able to inject it. And I recovered. My father was so relieved that there was no damage to the brain. He was afraid that I was brain damage. So they did the encephalograph thing, you know, and I remember I was coming out of it, they gave me a toy gun, you know. But that was, many years later I thought, oh, Krishna got intervened there. He had some plans for me to, you know, work on the books or something, you know, because that scarred me. Hare Krishna.
So my mother told me a story that she died. She was a young child, and like pneumonia or something, you know, back in the 30s. So, and she actually died. She had one of those... near the experience. She was leaving, and then the voice said, "It's not your time yet. Just go back." And she woke up, and her mom, everyone's crying like anything. The doctor had pronounced her dead.
You had been born by that?
No, this one. She was a kid. She was a little child. She told us. Oh, but you know, so just the great. Trauma to parents if the child passes away. I mean, I've done funerals for families, and there's a like 5, 6-year-old child in the coffin. I mean, you cannot believe what's going on at that funeral. It is beyond. There's nothing you can say at all. No one can say anything. You just can't. You just do the ritual and chant. There's nothing you can say. It's just too much for them to handle. It's just too much.
This is close to that because it's a story about my mother. And she was about, let's see, when was the flu pandemic? Does anyone know? Was that like right around World War I? I think it was about, anyway, she was born in 2009, so she was 6, 7 years old. And, you know, the flu thing was going on. It was a big pandemic. That was the one before this last one, big one. A lot of people died and everything. A world pandemic. That's what it means, pandemic. So her mother wouldn't even let her go out to play. They lived in a tenement in the Bronx, I think, or Brooklyn, and they had a fire escape, you know, like they did. So she could go out and play on the fire escape and then come into the house, and this way she protected. So sometimes it works, you know. The mother and father protected were able to protect. Luckily, she didn't get sick. That was, you know, that was such a, and the polio, when I grew up, the polio was we didn't have the vaccine yet. One of my friends had polio, he could hardly walk and everything. Oh, the summer came and there was this great anxiety, you know, not to get it. And finally when that vaccine came, oh boy, lined it up, everyone was lining up to get the vaccine.
Yeah. So, material life. Okay, let's all take shelter of Krishna and the holy names of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.